What's happening, YouTube? It's your boy Dealey again, here with you with another episode of the Silks Podcast. This is episode number 3 of the podcast, and I have another guest for you guys. Some of you may know him as Rob Montemarano. Did I say that right? Montemarano. Others may know him by the name of Hot Dog. So welcome, Rob. How you doing, man?
Thanks, man. Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Don't be nervous. This is we're just having a conversation. So just like any other day. What have you been up to?
Not a whole lot. It's good to be back here. Been taking a break for a little while. Was working a second job, and just decided to come back. Picking up some. Fuck.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. No. You're good.
Yeah, it's harder than it looks. But yeah, it's been dealing again. Switched over from nights to days. Came over to the light side, and just been enjoying myself. Been playing hockey. In a street hockey league over in Oldsmar. Starting to get back on the ice again. It's been fun. And just enjoy myself.
So I remember you played here before you worked here, right?
Oh yeah.
What was it like playing here, and how does it differ from working here? What did you enjoy more, I guess, and like why?
That's a good question. Well, my cousin Carl, he took me here on my 18th birthday. We went to play the 1-1, and I hit a .599 high hand, and I immediately knew this place was the nuts.
Oh, they got you hooked.
Oh yeah, immediately, right off the bat. So I started coming back here, once every other weekend, and started talking to a couple of the dealers, started making some friends, and eventually, just wanted to learn how to deal, wanted to see what it was like. It sounded like a cool job. Dino, actually, shout out to Dino. He got me my first audition, and it was just fun. It's when it comes to approaching it, I feel like I like this room because of the atmosphere. Really, it's a lot of a tighter knit type of community. Everybody knows each other.
Yeah, very homey.
Very much so. And I wanted to do that. I didn't really want to be in that casino environment where there's no windows and all that.
Like the Hard Rock.
Exactly.
So you started dealing when you were how old? 21, 20, maybe younger than that.
Yeah, it was a week from my 21st birthday.
Okay. Now I'm not a dealer. I never have been one. Everyone says I should be one, or that it'd be a good job for me. What are like the steps that you need to take in order to become a dealer?
Well, so long as your pitch is solid, that's the number one thing. A lot of people go to dealer school. I personally went to dealer school. I had the opportunity to, for some people offered to teach me how to deal for free. But I kind of wanted that regimented schedule of going somewhere every day to kind of learn in that just kind of classroom environment, and I feel like that helped me a little bit.
So you would say that probably helped you a lot more than if you just had, let's say, like a couple random of your friends help you deal?
I would say so, because at a point I think you start to feel guilty of, taking up all your buddies' Saturdays and all that and trying to get everybody together. And you don't want to be that guy. Not saying I would impose on anybody, but it's tough. It's a lot of time to learn. It probably took me about 6 months, I'd say, to learn. Probably longer than most people. Just learning the shuffle, which takes probably a couple weeks. Learning the pitch probably takes a couple months of just repetitive practice, and then not only that, but reading hands is a pretty tough thing. Because, when you're sitting back in the chair, it's pretty easy, everything's running the game. You say, oh yeah, of course it's a flush, but then, 9 people tabling their hands and then ace high is the winner. Sometimes it takes 10 seconds to kind of go through each one, and then you're making change for that guy in seat 8, and then somebody's ordering a drink, and then you just got 1,000 things going on at once.
Well, I feel like dealing is like one of those things, just like anything else, where like you do it enough, you get enough practice, it's just going to become very, like, it's second nature. Like, it's just going to become very easy to you.
Right. That is a big part of it. It's like muscle memory to a certain extent.
Oh, for sure. Now, so you've been dealing since you were 21. You did it for a couple of years. Would you say, and would you recommend this job to, like, a younger person like yourself?
I would say yes, but it takes a specific kind of person to be it. It's there's a lot of different kinds of dealers. There's the ones that are very personable and can talk to the whole table and be the entertainment. And there's ones that are more quiet and like to run the game and stay a little bit more professional. And there's a lot of different ways to do it, and it's finding the one that you are is really the most important part of it. The hardest part about being a dealer, I would say, is keeping the table engaged in the game, and being able to make that one joke every once in a while, or get people talking, and just being the facilitator of conversation, and not so much the mechanical aspects of it. And luckily for here, we got really good people, so it's a lot easier to do so, and just keeping the game running.
Which one of those personalities would you say you are? Are you the more personable kind of dealer, or are you the kind of one that just kind of like goes in, does their job, and like goes home? Because I remember you were pretty, like, when you first started, you were pretty quiet, but that's also probably because, you were new, you were kind of nervous, you didn't know what to expect, but I feel like, the longer that you did it, the more comfortable that you got, especially, dealing with some of the players and some of the situations that you had to deal with.
Right. I would say I'm a good mix of both. I keep the professionalism, but I like to keep everybody happy. There's a lot of tables that I genuinely enjoy pushing into, and I'll have just as much fun dealing as I would playing at the table and hanging out with the guys.
Agreed. Now, what would you say you like about this job the most?
I think just the flexibility of it. Being able to get on the EO and leave early if you're having a rough day, or be able to stay and just hang out. Being able to come back on your days off if you want to grab a beer, and just being able to be friends with all the people. Not having to wear a suit and tie every day. Just the flexibility of it. Just the atmosphere. The entertainment is definitely something very underrated
this
about
place
this job.
Definitely has some entertainment for sure. The people, just like poker in general, I feel like every day you see something new. Like there's always a surprise when I'm in here, and I'm in here all the time.
100%. There's never a day that I know what I'm going into whenever I'm pulling up in the parking lot.
Now, what would you say is one of your dislikes about this room or this job?
As previously said, it can be a very just mentally exhausting job when you got a lot of things going on at once. And if your head's not completely in the game, if you got other things going on, you got plans at 9 o'clock, and you're trying to get out, you can get a little bit distracted. And it's one of those jobs that you really got to be zeroed in 100% of the time. Whenever you're making change, whenever you're just pitching, whenever you're calling for a fill, if one thing is off, then that could be your entire night pretty much. You have to just be on mentally 24/7. And a lot of jobs, you get those 5-minute breaks. You got that downtime where you can take 5 minutes for yourself and go to the bathroom and come back whenever you want. You really got to just be focused the entire time, and I feel like that's a very hard part of it.
Now, I could be wrong, but this is like one of those jobs where like you're kind of like on call, because like you never know when you're gonna get out, right? Because you guys, like you said, you have that EO schedule. You could be first on the schedule, but like you might not get out till like 9 o'clock, and you would have been there since 12. How do you adjust to that, not knowing when you're gonna get off of work?
I would say never make definitive plans directly after your shift, but a lot of it's just the luck of the draw. I mean, quite literally, we have an EO draw where you pretty much, like, fan a deck of cards, or you just get pitched a couple of cards, and then you just kind of pick your destiny at that point.
So you're just so it's all about luck.
Exactly. Yep. So you'd probably run good in that.
What are you trying to say? I'm lucky?
Maybe.
So I know you usually work your shifts, or when you used to work at night, you used to work with Jason. I know he has a very interesting way of picking the EO, like picking how you explain that to us.
Well, first off, I gotta say that Jason's shifts are a blast. He's excellent at doing the EO draw, and always has your back. He's a very good boss, and he's a great guy. It's when he comes to the EO, he does it differently than anybody else will do a hand of poker. So to start off the day, you'll pretty much we'll shuffle the deck, he'll deal out the cards, and you have sometimes an Omaha board, sometimes a Hold'em board. Every once in a while, we'll mix it up and we'll throw wild cards in there, or a win card or a kill card. So, if you have the nuts, say you got 4 aces, and you got the kill card in there, then you automatically go to the bottom. Or vice versa, if you have absolutely nothing, and you got that win card, then you pretty much move to the top, and you'll be out by 9 o'clock at the latest. And if you're coming in at 7 o'clock, that's not a bad deal for a Saturday.
Well, sounds like a pretty fun way of doing it.
Oh, very much. It starts off the day good. That's one great part about it. It keeps everybody in a good mood, and that's a big part about this job, just keeping everybody happy, staying in high spirits, especially in a situation where you see a lot of positivity, and also the negative side of it too, where people are sulking and losing money and everything.
Well, right, yeah, you're in a kind of an establishment where you see so many different kind of mood swings and situations, people winning money, people losing money. Like, that's just constant in an environment like this. So you out here how long before you quit?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. What was your reason for leaving?
Well, I was working nights for again 3.5 years, which at first glance doesn't sound like much, but after coming home, for over 3 years straight of coming home at 4 a.m. and getting Steak and Shake or whatever's open at that point.
Oh, the good old days.
Yep. It wears on you after a while. It's tough. You kind of want a regular sleep schedule so you can do things in the morning. You want your afternoons back. It's harder to see your friends and family. So I felt like I was ready for some sort of change. My best friend Matt, he said that there was an opening at one of the hotels at Clearwater Beach for an audiovisual tech job, and I decided to do that. Only to realize that it's very seasonal, and that during the winter you get a lot of people, and then after that, not so much. It's a fun field to get into. So again, it's a different kind of work, so it was a big adjustment period, and after a while, I genuinely started to miss dealing. You miss the excitement of it, you miss all the people, you miss seeing the familiar faces that you get to come back to every day, and just the camaraderie of it.
So that's what you've been doing since you left dealing.
Mm.
Are you still doing that, or you're just dealing right now?
I'm still doing that part-time, usually weekends. They still have something going on over there.
Okay. So you said you missed dealing. Is that the main reason you came back, because you kind of missed the whole environment, the people you work with, and just kind of like the change of pace it was?
Yeah, I would say it's a combination of things. It's when you can't get hours at your other job, it's at the end of the day, dealing is one of the few things that I know how to do. I'm still working on my degree right now, and it just getting back into the swing of things is rather tough. It's the good thing about dealing, again, is one of those jobs that you could pretty much find a place to deal at a lot of places. If you ever need to move across the country, this casino is pretty much within a few miles of some sort of town, in most states, or at least a poker room. So you got a lot of flexibility with that, and just this is tough to do. this podcast is hard.
Now,
yeah.
I mean, you don't, obviously you may be biased towards this room than the other rooms, but as a player or a dealer, would there be any other room that in the area that you would choose maybe over this one, or would this just kind of be like your favorite one?
Well, in Florida, we're blessed. We have a lot of good poker rooms and casinos around. Every place that I've been to is very good. A lot of good people. Good poker, a lot of good action around in this area. But there's a reason that I came back to the Silks. I like the people here. I like the atmosphere. It's a lot more chill. A lot of the people are become good friends after a while. Not only coworkers but also customers as well. And I don't take that lightly. I like a lot of
Now, since you've been back, have you noticed any like big changes, like as opposed to when you worked here before?
Other than getting rid of Pai Gow, not a whole lot. Which it's good and bad, because you kind of get back in the swing of things fairly quickly. But it's a lot of just going through the motions when it comes to dealing this for years. It's the same game, but every single time you come, it's a different game still. It's very hard to describe. It's takes its hold of itself, never changes, but the game's always evolving. You see the quote unquote the meta, or the best best way to play the game, consistently changing, and you got to keep up with that if you want to kind of know where you're standing in poker.
Now, obviously, because I'm here all the time and I play a lot of poker, one of the biggest things I've noticed is the action, especially at these. They've brought upon a 1-3-6 game, which is a $1,000 cap max. I don't know if you had the chance to deal that yet, but have you noticed any difference as far as like the action in the games, especially the 1-3-6 games?
I've dealt that one time so far, and the one time that I've dealt it, I've loved it. It's I never would have thought that a straddle. You don't want to.
Sorry about that. We were rudely interrupted by a
good pal.
I don't even know what you want to call him, but yeah, we were talking about the 1-3-6 game, Rob. The action is just crazy. I don't know if you remember the action being that wacky when you were here.
It definitely brings a lot more action to the table, which I like. I never would have thought that just an under the gun straddle would really open up the game much more.
Definitely does. There's been some crazy games that I've been a part of where I mean, this might sound crazy, where everyone has at least $1,000. So at a 1-3 game, like at a 1-3-6 game, there's just huge pots, big stacks, unlimited all-ins, and it's pretty much just all the players that you can think of that are always bringing the action and bringing the money.
Oh, yeah. On top of being able to double straddle and bomb pots occasionally. Pretty much a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and I tell people this all the time, and I have seen a lot of new faces here lately that like 1-3 game, the 1-3-6 game, and the 1-3-6 deep game, which is just a $1,500 cap. The action is so great, and I think people are missing out on it, which is why, again, I'm trying to do this podcast to kind of put the word out to poker players and just anybody who wants to play poker and come and have a good time. Like this room is just so, I don't know. I know I say it over and over again, but this room is just awesome with everything that it offers. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but that's how I feel.
100%. There's something very special about this room. Even playing here when I was 18 years old, I knew it back then. Going up from just starting at the 1-1, moving up to 1-2, and slowly moving up. The stakes. There's a lot of things here that you don't get at other places. You could eat, right at the table, which is nice. You get to, call in your name to put it on the list. You get your player's card, get some decent, the food is also very underrated here. That's another big thing. Of course, it's the number one thing on my mind pretty much 24/7. But
what do you think? Okay, so you've been here for a while, and you've come and gone, and don't tell me nothing, because I know you'll be lying, is what do you think this room can do to become better?
That's a tough question. It does a lot of things right. It certainly does a lot of things right. We could maybe change the felts a little bit more often.
Actually, did you see it? They changed every single table, and now they look a
yeah.
lot better. I actually posted a picture on Instagram of how a couple hours, a few hours, and a couple of days, and some getting your hands dirty can certainly change the look of just every single table.
Yeah, the cards slide faster, less misdeals.
I did see yesterday a couple of dealers kind of struggling to put the flop out. Every time they put the flop out, the cards would kind of stick together.
Yep.
So I don't know if it's just something to get used to, or like it's just gonna get better in the long run. But I did see a lot of dealers struggling with that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things that just going to table, like physically the table can differ with your like mechanics while dealing. Your pitch can be a lot different going on like an older table as compared to like a newer table with newer felt. You can kind of pitch down like into the table and it'll slide across, as opposed to like an older felt where you kind of got to get a lot more lift on it and you'll bring it to the back. And it's tougher to do than it looks. Pitching cards is certainly something that takes a long time to do. It's something that a lot of dealers make look easy, especially when you look at veteran dealers, like Kathy or Carol, for instance. Some of the best pitches in the room. That does not happen overnight. And it looks simple.
Would you say that pitching is the hardest part of dealing, or what would you say it is?
I would certainly say it's the just the personal aspect still. Just being able to multitask, being able to remember everybody's names, making a wise crack at the table every once in a while, keep everybody, happy and upbeat. Being able to make change while pressing the cocktail button while still dealing out the cards and everything. Just multitasking, I would say, is the most difficult part of it.
So after you're done with school and, let's say you deal for another couple of years, ultimately, what would you like to do, like, with your life?
Ooh, that's $1 million question.
It is.
It really is.
Because I know you talked to me about, like, I remember you talked to me about, like, cryptocurrency. You talked to me about, some other stuff as well. Is that something you still have interest in, or are you kind of veering your interest towards, other things? Or do you not know yet? I mean, you're still young, so...
Yeah, I'm still trying to get through college. It's been years, and I'm still working towards it. Pretty much taking like one class a semester, so I'm gonna see where I go with that still. I've always been big into like e-commerce.
That's what it was, e-commerce.
Yeah.
I remember you told me you had a big interest in that.
I tried to start an online store at one point, and didn't really get much sales. Been trying to do the whole YouTube thing. That's very hard to do. It's very exhausting after a long time of just video editing. But I've always loved the just the capabilities that we've had in modern age. This is the very first time in like human history that you can essentially make a living in the comfort of your home, and that's something that I've been striving to do for a while, and it's a lot more hard than you'd expect.
Has dealing helped you like through your life in any way? Like, has it had an effect on you? Like, have you learned anything in here that has helped you in like your everyday life?
I would say so. Just learning how to handle myself is a big thing. I've always had like anxiety issues and all that, as you could probably tell if you're listening to this podcast. And
I never would have guessed you were nervous.
Oh no, but just learning how to rein that in and still be keep yourself calm, to keep yourself happy. Talk to people, just how to greet people, how to remember people's names, what makes people happy. Seeing what makes people good people. It's especially from the dealer's perspective, seeing all the players. You can, anybody's going to be nice to you when they win, $1,000. But the people that are still kind to you after they lose $1,000 are those people that you really respect and admire and are happy to come see back again. Being able to make contacts that you wouldn't make any elsewhere, make genuine, friendships and meet a lot of people that you wouldn't have met otherwise, and see all kinds of different people. That's another great thing about poker, because there's a lot of competition, a lot of money going through it, but there's also that element of sportsmanship that just like kind of an honor code that you still keep amongst your fellow players.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing for, obviously, quite a while, and I'm not like all the other people out there where I blame dealers if I get bad beated or if I lose a big pot. Like, I know it happens. I've been playing for so long. I've seen I want to say pretty much anything and everything. So I actually think it's kind of silly when people get upset, or they actually. I feel like there's people out there that actually believe you guys can control what happens.
It's very superstitious people.
Like that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
Very much so. And they're not hurting anybody but themselves, because I feel like the worst thing you could do in poker is that you're doing nothing wrong. If you're not constantly learning and constantly trying to get better at the game and seeing why you lost that hand, as opposed to, oh, that dealer must have did it, or that, I got cold decked, it's the month of August, I always run bad in August, something like that, then that's really just holding them back in general.
It's funny you mention that, because I've been playing for the last, 6 or 7 years full time, and I still feel like I have a lot to learn. I mean, there's something I learn new every day. I mean, there's times where I'll mess up a hand, or I know I'll mess it up, and, I'll blame how I play, but I'll also blame bad luck as well. But, I'm one of the few people probably that go home and research and try and see how I could have played that specific hand better. So in that regard, I agree with you 100%.
There's and that's what makes you a good player, because you always work hard. There's an old saying that says Texas Hold'em is a game that takes 5 minutes to learn but a lifetime to master, and I feel like that's always been very true.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the best in the world still haven't mastered it. And I guarantee you, if you ask any of these big name pros, Phil Ivey, Phil Helmy with Negreanu, they'll tell you they're still learning to this day. Like, they've had obviously a lot of success, but, with success comes a lot of practice, and with practice comes a lot of, putting in work, putting in the hours. So that's for all you guys out there that want to play poker for a living. Please talk to me before you do so.
100%.
Now, what was it? I want to say it was 2 or 3 years ago. We went out to Vegas. And
good trip.
I went 3 times last year, which is way too many. I need to stop going like multiple times a year, because it was exhausting. It was great, and it was profitable nonetheless. How did you enjoy that experience? Because that was your first time going.
Oh yeah, it was an incredible experience. That was unlike any other trip that I've been on. Just to see a whole city, built on something that not only your profession, but something that's been a part of just culture and raised around. I've been playing poker games in my cousin's basement up in New Jersey for.
That's usually how it starts.
Yep, since I've been probably 8 years old, and to see just going to my first poker room, going to my first casino, and then going to Atlantic City, then going to Vegas. It just it's almost like a big story in itself. You get to see it's a whole different city, which feels like almost like a different country to a certain point.
It's like a different world almost.
100%. Great shows, 1,000 poker rooms. It feels like the best food I ever had in my life. I'm sure you remember that dinner at Nobu.
Oh my god, that was amazing. It was expensively amazing.
Yeah, it's a very great city. To anybody that hasn't been there, it's one of those places you have to see once.
And I actually think this was your idea. We went to the hockey game that year.
Yeah, buddy.
That was the first year that the Golden Knights were in season, and they played the Lightning, didn't they?
Yeah, Lightning won.
So we scheduled it perfectly right around that time. So, I mean, obviously you go to a lot of hockey games in Tampa, in New York. How was the experience in Vegas, a place you had never been before, and, a place that just doesn't have sports there?
Well, a lot of times when you first see hockey teams getting brought into the NHL, a lot of times they're very bad for the first 5 to 10 years of their entrance. But Vegas Golden Knights, they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals.
That's pretty impressive.
Very impressive, and the whole city really rallied around their team, which is very incredible to see. It was their first year, and it seemed like everywhere you go in the city, people are wearing the shirts, people are wearing the hats, everybody's talking about it. It really just kind of brought the city together in a kind of weird, homey way for Vegas, and the intro sequence to that was incredible. Where they're all going out of the big golden helmet. The music there was awesome. We got a free bobblehead out of it.
We did. I remember that.
Just great game. Really, really great city. And a solid team. I like that team a lot. I don't know if they're going to make it back to the Cup this year, but
are they doing good this year? I haven't really been paying attention to hockey, so between like the Golden Knights and the Lightning, where do we stand as far as those two teams go?
Lightning have been doing great.
They're the favorites this year once again, I'm assuming, right? And they kind of let us down last year.
That's an understatement.
First round exit.
The letdown of the century.
It was a first round sweep, wasn't it?
Yeah, swept by Columbus Blue Jackets. But I think Vegas is like bouncing in and out of a playoff spot. Last time I checked, and Lightning are slowly going back up to the top in our division.
I mean, there's still a lot of season left, right? Or
about 25 games.
So we're a little bit more than halfway through. Now, this is a question I'm sure a lot of people are dying to know. How did you get the name Hot Dog?
Oh, no.
We got it. I know the story, but I want you to explain it to the viewers out there listening.
This is something that I've not only had to describe to somebody every other day, but it's something that For some reason, I've heard 1,000 different explanations for it from other people.
So coming from you, the 100% true story, the facts.
All right.
Why is your name Hot Dog?
So my first year I was dealing at the 3-card poker table, and there was some sort of party going in the back room. So you get all these, stumbling drunk people coming out of there looking to play the table games. And
Standard.
there's this, older lady and her daughter, drinking, probably double fisting Bud Lights, something, the usual. And comes up to me, and first hand she sits down, I deal her a straight flush. She has 10 on the top, gets a good amount of money, tipping everybody, tipping me, tipping the waitresses, everybody's having a good time. And then I kept on, dealing a good card, she wanted a heater, and the rest of the down she was naming me Heartthrob Rob. And I was like, okay, that's nice. I was pushing out of the table, and then she was saying goodbye to me, and as she called me Heartthrob Rob again, somebody at the table misheard it and thought she said Hot Dog Rob. So Hot Dog Rob is forever stuck to my name ever since. And it's a silly name, but I don't mind it.
It's funny because that's what I have you on my phone as. I don't even have you as Rob. I have you in there as Hot Dog, and I have a picture of a hot dog next to your name, just to constantly remind myself who you are.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's kind of taken on a legacy of its own.
So what are some other crazy stories as to why people think they called you that?
Somebody said I eat one hot dog a day.
Okay.
That was probably the weirdest
Is that true?
One. No, okay. I don't think I've even eaten a hot dog from the trek before. Yeah, there's a few not safe for work.
Okay, we'll save that for another time. Now, you said you have your own podcast, right?
Yeah.
It's about hockey. What's it called?
Pucks in Deep.
Pucks in Deep. So, what do? You just kind of analyze games, or you go over players? What do you exactly discuss on that show?
Pretty much just talking about whatever's going on in the hockey world that week. We only have one episode out so far published, but making a few videos. Maybe a video or two a month. Just posting on there. It's a fun little side project. If you want to hear more about hockey and my opinions on the league, come check it out. Love to have you.
Now, as a fellow podcaster, what kind of advice would you give me on how to kind of make my show better, if any?
Oh, you got to get better guests than Hot Dog Rob on here. That's number one.
I'm a fan of Hot Dog Rob, and I think there's a lot of people that are as well.
Thank you. But yeah, you've been doing a great job with it so far. Everything that you've been putting out has been pretty solid, and you're a very good interviewer. I believe you went to broadcasting school too, right?
I did. Before I played poker, which has kind of been a blessing and a curse, I was actually trying to do sports broadcasting or sports anchoring. But as you know, the poker world is just a whole separate world that sucks you in, and when it sucks you in, sometimes you can't leave, and that's kind of where I've been at for the last, 7 or 8 years.
It all came full circle.
Yeah, it did. If it wasn't for that, I never would have found this room. I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you, and this podcast, wouldn't be happening, and it wouldn't blow up like I'm hoping it's going to.
I feel like it is. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Any other words you want to tell Rob before we get out of here? Call it a night.
Support your local poker dealers.
Amen.
Yep.
All right, you guys, thanks for listening. This is the Silks Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Silks_podcast. Also, of course, follow us on YouTube as well, Silks Podcast. Hit that like and subscribe button. Tell all your friends. For Hot Dog Rob, I am D. Lee. Just reminding you, tight is right.